The Galactic Survival Academy's most infamous test had broken countless species over the millennia. The instructors, a collection of the galaxy's hardiest races, watched their monitors with clinical detachment as another human shuttle descended toward Carvax 7, known throughout civilized space as the Devourer's Garden. Daisy Chen adjusted her pack straps and glanced at her companion. William Torres was checking his knife for the third time. A nervous habit she'd noticed during their 6 months of training. "Remember," crackled Instructor Vekthar's voice through their soon-to-be disabled communicators, 72 hours. Survive. Extract nothing. Touch nothing you don't have to. The indigenous predators have ended the aspirations of warriors far more experienced than you soft-skins. The communicators died with a click. They were alone. Carvax 7 stretched before them in a riot of bioluminescent flora and distant, bone-chilling howls. 3 days. Most species spent those days hiding, rationing their supplies, praying to their various deities. The Theknari dug burrows. The Zelfon climbed trees and didn't move. The Mordelians simply meditated until extraction. Daisy looked at William. William looked at Daisy. "So," she said, pulling out the portable scanner they'd modified against regulations, "I'm thinking we need protein, shelter, and maybe some friends." "Friends?" William raised an eyebrow. "Everything's edible or tameable if you're creative enough." Back in orbit, Vekthar settled into his observation chair. Humans were a recent addition to the Galactic Coalition, and their psychology remained a mystery. They seemed fragile, no natural armor, no venom, no enhanced sensory organs. Yet they'd clawed their way to sentience on a death world classified as habitability level extreme. This test would reveal their true nature. Hour 6. Daisy had constructed a rudimentary shelter using local vines and her knowledge of structural engineering. William had identified 3 edible plant species and 2 that were definitely poisonous, but might be useful later. Hour 12. Vekthar's mandibles clicked in confusion. The humans had started a fire. Not a careful, hidden survival fire. A large, roaring beacon that should have attracted every predator in a 5-kilometer radius. It did. The Carvax Shadow Stalker approached the camp low and silent, its 6 eyes reflecting firelight. An apex predator, it had killed 17 test-takers over the years. Vekthar watched, preparing to activate the emergency extraction. Humans were too valuable to lose, even if they were foolish. Then something impossible happened. William tossed something toward the creature. Meat, smoking, and seasoned with local herbs. The stalker paused, sniffing. Vekthar's translator picked up Daisy's voice. "Easy there. Gorgeous. That's grade A protein. We've got more where that came from." Hour 18. Vekthar called in 3 other instructors. The humans had attracted 5 different predator species to their camp. They weren't fighting them. They were feeding them, selectively. Creating positive associations. Using behavioral conditioning techniques that shouldn't work on apex predators. But they were working. "Impossible," muttered Instructor Drax, a 7-foot reptilian warrior. "The blade mantis has never been approached peacefully. It knows only killing." On screen, Daisy was hand-feeding a blade mantis strips of roasted meat, while making what could only be described as friendly, chittering noises. The creature's razor arms, capable of bisecting a Theknari warrior, remained folded. William was taking notes. Extensive notes. Hour 36. The human camp had become something unprecedented, a multi-species gathering. 2 shadow stalkers lounged by the fire. A blade mantis groomed its arms nearby. A pack of ravager beasts, normally solitary hunters that killed rival predators on sight, had formed a loose perimeter around the camp, bellies full of cooked meat. "They're pack bonding," whispered Instructor Yana, a feline Shorak. Daisy was demonstrating this to a curious ravager beast, scratching behind its auditory receptors while it made a sound that could only be called purring. "Humans co-evolved with predators on their world," Vekthar said slowly, accessing their files. "They domesticated something called wolves into dogs, and large cats into house cats. They turned competitors into Companions. In 40,000 hours, perhaps, Drax protested. They've done it in 36. Hour 72. The extraction shuttle descended to find William and Daisy waiting calmly, surrounded by creatures that should have killed them. Each human carried a bulging pack. The extraction team kept their weapons ready as the humans boarded, followed by, "Absolutely not," Vecthar's voice boomed. "No indigenous life forms may be extracted." Daisy held up a small, mewling Shadowstalker pup. "But he's an orphan. We found him after his mother was killed by the thermal eruption in Sector 7. Yes, we monitored that." Vecthar's tone suggested this was a technicality he was reconsidering. Still. Regulations. "We also mapped 17 edible species," William interrupted, holding up a datapad. "Documented 3 water sources, created a field guide to safe shelter locations, and," he hefted a makeshift journal, "compiled 127 recipes using local ingredients. Carvax 7 could easily support a training outpost with proper knowledge. We could turn your death world into a resource." The instructors looked at each other. "They survived," Yana said slowly. "By thriving." 24 hours later, Daisy and William stood before the Galactic Survival Council. The Shadowstalker pup, which William had named Captain Murderfloof, sat on Daisy's shoulder, happily gnawing a protein bar. "In our assessment," Vecthar announced, "humans have not merely passed the Carvax 7 trial. They have fundamentally redefined it. We asked them to survive. They created an ecosystem. We expected fear. They brought friendship. We anticipated desperation. They brought recipes." He held up William's journal, now being analyzed by the Council's xenobiology team. "Humanity's place in the Coalition is hereby upgraded from provisional member to full member. Additionally, we're assigning humans to the Xenoecology and Wilderness Integration divisions. Clearly, your species possesses a unique talent." As they left the chamber, Daisy scratched Captain Murderfloof's chin while William checked his datapad. "I'm thinking," William said, "Carvax 7 would make an excellent resort location. Good weather, diverse wildlife, fantastic local cuisine. Once you know what you're doing, we'd need guides, people who understand the predators. We know a few." Behind them, through the station's viewports, Carvax 7 rotated peacefully, a world that had tested thousands and broken hundreds. Now just another potential home for the galaxy's most persistent, creative, and stubbornly optimistic species. Humans, who looked at every wilderness and saw a garden, every predator and saw a friend, every challenge, and asked, "But what if we just try being nice first?" The galaxy, Vecthar reflected, would never be the same. And somewhere in the Council's xenobiology lab, a team of scientists discovered that recipe #47, spicy Carvax root stew, was absolutely delicious.